Hello and welcome to I Wrote That, a podcast where we bring authors and industry experts together to talk about all things books. My name is Larissa Sowen, and I am your host, book coach, and ghostwriter. And today I'm here with Christy Holt. She is a self-proclaimed happiness hussy, coach, podcast host, and all-around inspirational space for women to get unstuck. She's also an author of an amazing book called Unstuck for Women, which is available on Amazon, and we're going to talk in detail about that book. And she really loves to show people how to get unstuck, get out of survival mode so that they can consciously create the happy life, relationships, and impact that they desire. Christy is a coach for the whole human. Using her signature CREATE method, she journeys alongside of her soul-led clients to support and love them as they discover and unlearn. Christy's mentorship helps her clients to connect with their soul-aligned desires and become unstoppable so that nothing can get in their way from making massive impact that they are meant to create. Welcome, Christy.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to share.
Yeah, you have such an impressive bio. And I think this is a book podcast, but you also help in so many other ways. How have you kind of brought that desire to help in line with being an author?
Honestly, I really feel like I am on a mission to make a significant impact in the world. It's just something that I have kind of had within me, this desire to make a big impact. And I wasn't quite sure. Honestly, I wanted to be an author for probably about as long as I can remember. I used to write novels as a child, and I remember printing them on those old school papers, the ones with the holes on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote these, very cheesy, I don't know, it was sort of Sweet Valley High-esque, Babysitter's Club-esque kind of novels, even as a youngster in, maybe junior high or elementary school. And I have always known that I would write a legitimate book someday. And the opportunity sort of just came to me last year. I've had this vision of helping people to see that they are the ones that can create their happiness in their life, and, empowering them with tools to make it actually come true for them, make all these things happen. And after having gone through a bit of a difficult part of my own life, I sort of, I dealt with a lot of anxiety and a lot of emotional overwhelm, and I felt really kind of stuck. And so when I changed my circumstances, it was because I realized that it was me, that I realized that I'm the common denominator, right, in my struggles. And so I decided that I was going to take radical responsibility and see what would come of it. And basically it has allowed me to transform my life and make a lot of these dreams come true. So yeah, I was able to start a podcast, which I love, sharing a ton of amazing stories from inspiring women who have overcome in their story as well, just to share and turn, how they've turned the sort of struggle and mess of their life into something that's actually making a massive impact in the world. And so the book was a natural progression as well to help, reach more people and help them to understand a little bit more about themselves so that they can, with that new awareness, go and start to create their own happiness.
That's so awesome to hear you say, because as coaches, I think we get into this world wanting to help everybody. And very quickly, we learn that that's not possible.
Yeah.
And the book is such a tool to get in the hands of more people and to spread your knowledge and your wisdom without being super high ticket. It's a low investment thing for somebody to pick up and start reading. So that's really cool. Have you found that through your work as a coach that it's influenced your work as an author?
Absolutely. And I mean, I share even inside of my book a bit of a client synopsis, and I share it kind of, to be honest, I share it as a story of just one person, but it's really, it's so many people that find resonance in this story, right? So it's not just the story of one person. I think that's usually the case. And when I'm sharing these amazing women's stories and they're telling how they've overcome things on my podcast too, I realized it's not just their one story. It does resonate with people because, we're all connected. We've all been through different things, and we can often find ourselves in another person's story. And that can often give us some inspiration or help empower us to go and make the changes that we feel called to. So yeah, I just really took some of the commonalities, some of the things that I've just seen time and time again that women struggle with, and really compiled them into this resource because I wanted something to be really accessible for people who really want to make a change, but they're not sure where to start. And this is really ultimately my answer to that. Where do I start?
Mm-hmm. And that's a really good sneak peek as to what you're going to give us at the end for your book. But you're going to be giving away a free chapter of your book. Like, you believe in your message so much and that people can benefit from your message that you're literally giving parts of it away for free. So stick around. We're going to talk about how to get your hands on Christy's free chapter at the end. But for now, let's talk about who it is that you serve. You've talked about women that are, feeling stuck, feeling anxious. How do they self-identify as someone who might need your help?
Yeah. And I think, stuck is a pretty vague, I suppose, sort of descriptor. So to break this down a little bit, this is more going to play out in ways such as overthinking everything. Really, to me, when you're stuck, you're kind of stressed out over all of the things. You're maybe overwhelmed. You're feeling this pull or this call to do something, but you're so overwhelmed that you don't actually take action on it, right? So a lot of women will see this in like the diet roller coaster, or just not speaking up for themselves, this inability to say no. It's often going to be identified in people who have sort of like an inner critic, negative or hypercritical self-talk going on loop inside of their head. And the other big descriptor that I found really, for me, defined if you're stuck is just this sort of feeling like you're too much and not enough at the same time. And it's sort of this impossible place to be in, because when you're feeling the weight of that, it doesn't seem like there's a way to get out of it. It just feels like this repetitive loop of thoughts and emotions. And the more we try to control those things that are outside of ourselves, the more we end up perpetuating the patterns that we actually wish to be free of. And that keeps us in this loop. And then we don't know how to change at all, because even though we want to change so badly, we just seem to keep reverting to those same habits. Then we feel like we're maybe lacking some motivation that other people have, or that we're not ready. And we end up burning ourselves out with all of the doing and the trying so hard. We might even actually end up thinking like, oh, like, forget it. It's just the way I am, or this is just the way it is. And so if you're in that sort of space where you're feeling a little bit overwhelmed, unhappy, like you feel like there's a little bit more for you in life, but you're not sure how to get it, this is for you to start coming into a little bit more clarity about how to get what you want to have and how to start creating it for yourself.
Mm-hmm. I think there's such a difference in, I just want to touch on like what you said about like, oh, this is just who I am. There's like two powerful tones that you can say that, and I'm like, this is who I am. And oh, that's just who I am.
Yeah.
And one is so resigned to the fact that you have no control over this aspect of yourself and your life. And the other is like, I am aware, I am conscious, and I am choosing to be like this. Yeah, that's really cool.
I call that unapologetic. And that's not to say that you're unkind to people. It's just to say that you're owning who you are, right? And not apologizing for your uniqueness, because we're not all the same. We don't see things the same. We are actually, how boring would it be if we did? So we're all really complex and unique as humans. And so getting to the place where you really truly are embracing all of the bits of yourself is super freeing.
And how does your book dial in on that for people?
Yeah, I mean, basically the book, I really talk about my spiral stopper method. And this is sort of what I derived from time in a relationship where I was feeling all kinds of stuck and I didn't know how to get myself out of it. And what I ended up doing was building myself a toolbox of resources, tools, strategies, and all of these things that I could call upon in those moments of difficulty, right? When I was facing an uncertainty, or when I was feeling triggered or upset about something, or when I was just finding myself, over giving and not asking for what I needed, or shoulding all over all of the things, right? We do that a lot. I should do this. I should do that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I developed the spiral stopper method to help stop all of the emotional and thought spirals that actually keep us stuck in that. And it's the survival sort of reaction, I guess is the more accurate word, that steps in to keep us safe right away. And I do talk a little bit about the neuroscience behind all that. I won't get too much into it on this short call, but understanding how our brain works and how our body works, how our nervous system works, is pivotal to understanding how to use that for your benefit. So I tried to explain this in a way that makes it simple enough for us to understand, because awareness is the first step. And then having willingness to do something different is where we're starting to build this toolbox so that you can make the shift that you want to change and actually have those results stick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's it's AIM methodology, like the awareness, intention, motivation, and I can't remember what the last one is, but there's like a follow-up, like a circle back, like how did it go? How do you feel? How are you going to move forward? Kind of a thing. That's a really great coaching methodology for sure. That I think, like, what it sounds like your book is walking people through how to do that.
Yeah. I mean, the intention was to help people to somewhat detach from this negative thinking so that they can finally see it for what it is, which first of all is not you, right? And I think there could be a lot of confusion about our thoughts are who we are, but we're actually not defined by our thoughts. And so creating some space allows us to really look at those thoughts that are coming through and decide which ones we're going to react to and respond to with intentionality, right? As opposed to operating out of an autopilot survival mode reaction. We're able to choose who we're going to show up as in those moments. And it's tough when we're in sticky moments. We're going to have sticky moments. We're going to have those moments where our certainty is in question. And we want to have those tools in place, because otherwise we won't be consciously choosing. We will be going on autopilot. And that is not the way to create what you want. That's the way to create the past over and over, right? And so we want to shift forward out of that.
Yeah, I do want to talk about the psychology, because this is it's so fascinating. And this applies so strongly to authors, because we are split between wanting to tell our story and scared to do it. And there's kind of two brains in your head, and there's the me and the I. And the me is formed by how other people see me, what they've told me about me, how they see me. And the I is how I see myself, the pure version of myself. And in our brain, they do not exist together. And you'll have an I thought, this is what I want, this is how I perceive it. And then the me, that perception that other people have put on you, will filter into the I.
Yeah.
And you get this like disjointed vision or view of yourself. So that's really interesting that you talk about that. So let's talk about how this applies to authors, because like I said, we want to tell our story, but then the idea of actually having someone read it is terrifying.
Yeah.
How did you kind of overcome that, if you had it at all, that mindset of this is my story, now it's our story?
First of all, I want to say I'm not sure if I have overcome it. It's still a bit terrifying, honestly, to know that my work is out there and that people are reading it. However, there is just a knowing within me that I am not the only one who has gone through this. I am not the only one facing these particular components of my story. I'm not the only one. And as long as I keep remembering I'm not the only one, it reminds me that there are people that can benefit from this, who can use the information that I have learned to help themselves, to make a difference, to start creating the life that they truly want. And I can't keep it to myself when I think about it in that lens, that it might be the story someone else needs to completely change their life. My story of getting out of my, I'm going to just say, unhealthy relationship and going through a very difficult divorce, which I talk about in my book, because I do want people to understand a little bit about where I'm coming from. I have to share that because I know it's going to land for somebody and they're going to hear themselves in that story and they're going to realize, like, if she could get free, so can I. And I can't not share from that perspective. So it's a bit terrifying to know that maybe people are reading that, but I've always been a bit of an open book in that way. So I guess this is just one step further, right? Like, I have no idea who might read this, but that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who it's going to help either. That's the uncertainty that I'm going to cling on to is how many people can this help?
Yeah, it comes back to, and I think I mentioned it like every second episode, but your book is not meant for everyone. It is meant for someone, right? If there's somebody out there that needs your book, they need your message.
Yep. And my book is probably for, the reviews that I've received have often said something like, I feel like Christy was talking to her best friend, and that is the vibe that I really try to portray here. I am a tiny bit sweary, in full disclosure. If that's not something that vibes with someone, I might not be for them, and that's totally okay. But there are people who really will resonate with that, who will feel that comfort in that conversation with their best friend kind of vibe. And I'm not one to put nonsense in there. I didn't put any fluff in there. I just really wanted to go straight to the chase and help people to, untether themselves from whatever's keeping them stuck in any area of life.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is a great segue to the freebie that you're offering listeners. So your book, Unstuck for Women, is going to be on sale March 1st for 99 cents. Mm-hmm. And to kind of get people excited and help people dial in that this is a book that they need to pick up, you're giving away a free chapter. So just talk us through why you're doing that and what you expect to happen with that kind of, that giveaway. That's awesome.
Well, ultimately, I want people to get a little sampling so that they can see my style of writing and see if it's a fit for them. And also just to find out if, this is maybe the next step for them. And I feel like sometimes we need to immerse ourselves in a thing to really feel that full body, yes, this is for me, or no, it's not. And so I'm happy to give people a little taste of what's kind of inside the book, a chance for them to identify, yes, this is for me, or no, it's not. And either way is completely okay. But just to help them to see whether this is going to be a useful resource for them.
Mm-hmm. And how can they grab this free chapter from you?
Yeah, so we will put the link, I think, below, but it'll be on my website and you'll just sign up there and you'll get it delivered into your inbox.
Perfect. And then you'll also get notifications for when her book goes on sale March 1st for 99 cents from Amazon.
Yes.
Thank you so much for Christy for coming in. This has been absolutely wonderful.
Awesome. Thank you.